a really interesting question. Coming off of the Oscars, what do you think about the idea of the Daniels directing an Avengers film? Check it out.
Hey guys, this is Carlos. My question revolves around the Daniels. Do you think with them winning Best Writing, Best Adapted Screenplay, and Best Directors, do you think maybe Kevin Feige tasked them to write and direct Secret Wars or maybe even Kang Dynasty? They seem like much better writers than the ones Marvel has right now, and they sure know how to make a multiverse movie. Thanks.
All right, Carlos, thanks for saying that in. You know, one of the big running gags after Everything Everywhere All at Once and Doctor Strange the Multiverse of Madness was out, it's like, well, there's a best multiverse movie this year, and it ain't Doctor Strange. Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Jamie Lee Curtis even made a joke about it. She talked about, this is the best, talking about Everything Everywhere. This is the best multiverse movie of the year. And she wasn't wrong. Everything Everywhere All at Once was better than Marvel's own multiverse movie. Now, granted, it was better than every movie that came out this year. According to the Oscars, of course, it took home Best Picture at the Academy Awards. But more to the point, the two Daniels not only directed that movie, they also wrote it. They wrote and directed this low budget, Best Picture winning, Best Screenplay winning, Best Directors winning motion picture and Everything All at Once, in the midst of a time right now where a lot of loyal Marvel fans are saying the writing in Marvel right now is struggling. And, you know, the most now that not all of it, some of it has been fantastic. Some of it has been absolute gold that I have loved, but it's struggling more than it has before. And the most recent, obviously, outing, Ant-Man Quantumania is a good example of that. That movie suffered from weaker writing. And right now, the person who turned in that weaker effort, Loveness, is currently the writer of record for, which one is it? Kang Dynasty or Secret Wars?
Kang.
For Kang Dynasty. Yeah. Now, I believe, no proof of this is just as a fan speculation. I believe they already have their director for Avengers Secret Wars. I think, and again, it's just a guess, I think it's Ryan Coogler. I think they're going to turn to Ryan Coogler for Secret Wars with an outside chance that maybe the Russo brothers come back to do another Avengers movie. Maybe. I don't know. Could Kevin Feige look at the Daniels as a possible double benefit hire? That not only would they be excellent directors for something like Avengers Secret Wars, but you also would get your writers at the same time. It's a 2-for-1. You get your writers, you get your directors, all in one package, boom. And listen, one of the things Kevin Feige has done a lot of in the past is taken people who have done low budget stuff, recognize that they're really good storytellers, and then give them a bigger MCU movie to do. James Gunn is a great example of that. James Gunn, whose history and background was making these smaller, low-budget things, but as Kevin Feige told me, sitting across from me, he said, a good storyteller is a good storyteller. Same thing with the Russos. Want to remind everybody, the directors of You, Me, and Dupree. But Kevin Feige recognized in them, you know what? I see the seeds of good storytellers who can work with me in the stories I want to tell. And that worked out really well. Doesn't work out every single time. But now you can look at somebody like the Daniels, who kind of very much like the Russos. The Daniels took a small budget film and wrote the hell out of it. And with a modest budget, were able to make a Best Picture winner at the Academy Awards, something Kevin Feige has not been able to do yet. No comic book movie ever has. And you throw in that extra little spice, and it just so happens that their big win came in a multiverse movie that they did. And oh, by the way, the MCU right now is in the midst of something that they have titled the Multiverse Saga. Look, I'm usually very much the guy who goes, I don't care about X director directing X movie and all that kind of stuff. But this would be, in theory, a complete match made in heaven. Theoretically speaking, Kevin Feige going out and getting the two Daniels to do Avengers Secret Wars to cap off what they call their multiverse saga, the guys who are by the way, Academy Award-winning writers. Oh, and by the way, Academy Award-winning directors. Oh, and by the way, directed the Best Picture winner at the Academy Awards at the same time. It would be an absolute match made in heaven. And they seem to have the spirit to, if you watch them in their interviews or their acceptance speeches at the Oscars, they seem to have the personality and spirit that Kevin Feige is just attracted to. They've got like a James Gunn-ness about them a little bit that I think Kevin Feige is really attracted to in people. And I think it would be absolute dynamite. So my one answer is, hell yes, that would be fantastic. And again, I'm not saying that just because they're the hot names right now. No. These are the types of guys Kevin Feige has worked with. They're coming out of a low budget background, and they are specifically just made a movie about the multiverse and did it better than Marvel did. So that is your package. But do I think it will actually happen? Nope. I don't think it'll happen. For two reasons. The one reason is, I think right now every studio is lining up and making pitches to the Daniels. They're lining up and going to the Daniels right now and saying, whatever you want to do. It's the same kind of situation that I think happened with James Gunn when he was first fired from Marvel, and every single studio in town went and lined up at his door and said, what do you want to do? And Warner Brothers won the lottery. What do you want to do? I think that is what's happening on the doorstep of the Daniels right now. And they're going to have the option to do any kind of wild project or drama or love story or comedy or whatever they want to do, they're going to be able to do. And they're going to ask themselves, do we want to do something where we're going to have complete freedom to make any story we want? Or do we want to go into a situation where Kevin Feige is telling us the story and we're just adapting and making the story he wants to tell? I don't know. I think they're going to probably pick something else. The second reason I don't think it will actually happen is because of what I said at the beginning. I actually think they have their director already. I think that's already set. And if it's Ryan Coogler, awesome. Like, you put a great director in there. And I can't remember. I think they said who the writer was for it. I can't remember who it's going to be. But maybe they get new writers. Who knows? But we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. If saving more and spending less is one of your top goals for 2023, why are you still paying insane amounts of money every month for your phone bill? Switching to Mint Mobile is the easiest way to save this year. As the first company to sell premium wireless service online only, Mint Mobile lets you order from home and save a ton with phone plans starting at just $15 a month. You guys know I made the switch over to Mint Mobile a while ago. The process couldn't have been easier, and I can't believe that I am spending less than a third of what I was spending on one of the other major carriers before. By going online only and eliminating the traditional costs of retail, Mint Mobile passes the significant savings on to you. All plans come with unlimited talk, text, and high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and switch easily in minutes with eSIM. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door free, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. So on the one hand, Rob, I would love to see this because it's not just a hot name of the week with Marvel. It's an actual really good fit in my eyes, but I just don't think it will happen. So same two questions for you. Would you like the idea of the two Daniels doing an MCU film? And then secondly, could you see actually a possibility of it happening?
One, I don't particularly like the idea just because somebody has already, look, the Daniels made, in Hollywood, what you want is clout, and you want to get power based on your previous performance. Everyone says you're only as good as your last picture. Their last picture swept the Oscars in a historic fashion. It was original. It was an original piece that they had come up with, original piece of IP, call it that. And I don't think they would want to go repeat themselves. And Marvel's not the kind of studio that's going to back up trucks to them. You know, Marvel hires James Gunn because they can get him for relatively cheap and step up. In this case, these guys are like you said, every studio is going to come after them. And what I think an artist wants, these guys are artists and filmmakers. How often do you get the clout to make whatever you want? And like you said, to have that kind of power, to be able to make anything that you want, that is the ultimate prize in Hollywood. And they've got it. And they've got it. Their win secures them not just of maybe doing it once. They could set themselves up with a 3-picture deal.
Yeah.
And get themselves a housekeeping deal, get themselves a lot, because they made this movie for relatively little money. And studios, they're not going, I mean, unless they have a $200 million movie on their docket, I bet they don't. I bet they would rather, heck, I could see them maybe even not biting for a studio and making a deal with A24. You never know.
You dance with the one who brung you sort of situation.
Because
the one thing is A24 doesn't have the money they could put up that, say, a Universal or Paramount or Warner Brothers
but
could.
the thing is, Universal and Paramount are not interested in making original visions. They want to make $200 million known IPs that are not risk. The Daniels might have 4 risky scripts they want to make. It really depends what you want to do out of life. Do you want to make a shit ton of money, or do you want to be known as auteurists and make original visions that could maybe win you another Oscar?
And they'll still make good money.
And still make good money. Yeah, because they'll own it. They'll own a lot. It really depends what you want to do. If they make a Secret Wars, nobody cares. But if they make another movie
that's true.
Well, no, but what I mean is in terms of their status in the industry, it's not like Secret Wars. If it makes a lot of money, people aren't going to go, it was the Daniels that made Secret Wars a lot of money. Whereas the Daniels, they made A24, that they gave them their biggest box office worldwide ever. And they went, if A24 is indeed going to be the new Miramax, these guys want to be in business with them. The same way that Quentin Tarantino never jumped on the studio bandwagon and made a tentpole. Quentin Tarantino stayed his own man, became the auteur that he is, wrote and directed all of his own movies, and can write his own ticket and gets to make whatever he wants. What would you rather do? I think that's what they would rather do, is go the Tarantino route with a studio like A24. But maybe they have the idea for a $200 million tentpole that they want to make.
What is funny to me is imagining what Everything Everywhere All at Once could have been had it had a real budget, like a full, like a blockbuster budget. What's interesting about the situation too is they're in a kind of a reverse situation of a lot of Hollywood icons, because we've seen Hollywood icons like Scorsese, Brad Pitt, Leonardo DiCaprio, guys like that, who for the longest time, they put together this incredible body of work and this incredible resume. And then I remember us talking about back before he won his Oscar, Brad Pitt is now in a state of his career where he's taking films that might put him in position to get an Oscar, because now he wants to build legacy, right? The Daniels are now in the absolute reverse position. They have come out of the gate with an Oscar. They've got that part done now. No matter what happens in their career from here on out, they've got that. No, not that one Oscar. They've got them Oscars, those 3 Oscars, each of them sitting on their mantles. And maybe now they can go, well, we got that. Now let's make $1 billion film.
Well, they've also got really 7 if you want to count their editorial award and their 3 acting awards.
Oh yeah, that editor's going to get paid.
And so you look at that, what they've done, and I think though that look, you want to be in a career for a long time. You work with a studio on a big tentpole movie. I don't care who you are, your control is curtailed because of how much is riding for the studio. Secret Wars, I wouldn't want to go direct a movie from if Kevin Feige called me tomorrow and said, Rob, would you direct one of these movies? And I'm like, I don't know.
Got to see the script first.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Send me a script, Kevin.
Yeah, send me your script, Kevin, and I'll read it, I promise. And I'll read it right away, because I think, look, I'd much rather be in the position the Daniels are in, because they can set themselves up for the next 10 years.
See, you raised a really interesting point that we were talking about the other day, is that right now, like a few years ago, the narrative was every director, and this is true, every director would be dying to do a Marvel film right now. But now it's kind of become a little bit like Star Wars, where it's the directors are now, I don't know that I want to make one of those movies, because if it doesn't go well, fans are going to hate me and I'm going to get blamed for it. And it's going to be all this kind of stuff. And that's why, like, Christopher McQuarrie, who's of course working with Tom Cruise, like, he made that statement a while ago saying, Star Wars movie? No, thank you. I've seen how the fans turn on the directors of Star Wars movies. I don't want anything to do with it. And maybe now when we're seeing what happens with all this kind of stuff, looking at some like Avengers Secret Wars is like, what's the upside? Because I see a lot of downside. Because if I go in there and direct those films and it makes less than the other Avengers movies, or it's not completely beloved? Does that sabotage? Whereas you go make a smaller film that doesn't work out so well, whatever, you forget about it and you move on. But I don't know, maybe it could be precarious.
I mean, you look at the Daniels and you'd ask them, okay, you guys, you can write your own ticket. Do you want to be Quentin Tarantino or do you want to be Joss Whedon?
Either way, you still go to Georgia and take that meeting.
Or do you ask them, do you want to be Quentin Tarantino or do you want to be the Russo brothers?
Well, but the thing about the Russo brothers is look where they're at now.
I know. Which is one of the reasons I think they might be enticed to come back and do another Marvel
I know.
film. It's tricky and it's whatever. So personally, I think it would be a great idea. I'd love to see that type of energy and personality they have and that talent brought into the MCU right now. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think Rob thinks so either.
I think isn't the world a better place though if we get more Quentin Tarantino movies as opposed to more Marvel movies?
Well, the nice thing though is the Daniels are both young guys.
It's true.
They could do both. I mean, which is kind of what I'd love to see. I'd love to see directors like Tarantino.
They could lock that.
Part of the reason I got so excited when the whispers were going around that Tarantino might do a Star Trek film, just I'd love to see those lines crossed a little bit, but that crossing lines doesn't always turn out great. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? What do you think about the idea of Kevin Feige giving the Daniels a call? Do you think the Daniels would do it? Do you think Kevin Feige would even want them? If so, could you see a reality in which it could work? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts.